Wow. This spectacular monument in an amazing scenic location at West Kilbride celebrates the life and works of Robert Simson, the local lad and Professor of Mathematics at Glasgow University for 58 years in the 17th century. When the monument was built in the 19th century from a public subscription fund, Simson's book was still being used in school geometry classes. In 1864, a meeting was held in the Wellington Hotel in West Kilbride, where Edward Craufurd, the Laird of Auchenames and Crosbie, was elected chairman. John Fullarton of Overton Treasurer and Peter McConchie, the Dominie or headmaster of West Kilbride Public School, and Mr. Woodrow, a teacher, were elected joint secretaries. McConchie had not received a university education, but had managed to teach himself both Greek and Latin. The Pilkington family lived in Seamill, and so it was natural that their architect relative Thomas Frederick Pilkington of Edinburgh be engaged to design a monument that would be suitable. An outline design was presented to the committee in December, whilst the final would be displayed in 1867. The monument was completed in 1865 and takes the form of an octagonal tower built from local Came Hill stone. The inside of the monument is open and has arrow slit types with criss-cross tracery. There are two characteristic plinth slopes at ground and first floor level, sloping inwards towards the tower with classical pilasters supporting a frieze of brackets. Above that is a range of what looks like dormer windows filled with stone balls, and above that an ogee roof with supporting a globe encircled with rings. The Gothic design is clearly a Victorian interpretive approach to the works of Simson. Several well-known landowners from the west of Scotland contributed to the fund, including the Earl of Eglinton. It's often assumed that John Fullarton himself donated a substantial proportion of the overall cost, but of course he was the treasurer and responsible for the public contributions. On a marble tablet within there is a following inscription. Several well-known landowners from the west of Scotland contributed to the fund, including the Earl of Eglinton. It's often assumed that John Fullarton himself donated a substantial proportion of the overall cost, and he did, but of course he was the treasurer and responsible for the public contributions. On a marble tablet now outside there's the following inscription: To Dr. Robert Simson of the University of Glasgow, the restorer of Grecian geometry, and by his works the great promoter of its study in the schools, a native of this parish. Born 14th of October 1687, died at Glasgow 1st October 1768, where rest his remains, and buried learning rose redeemed to a new morn. The monument was made a Category C listed building in 1980. Unfortunately, Professor Simson's name has been misspelt in a recent upgrade to the monument.